Now, there are tons of ruins spread all across Central America from the Mayan and Aztec civilizations. But today, we're visiting one of the most important ruins in all of Latin America. Welcome to Copan Ruins. Today we are in the town of Copán Ruinas, which is not really an easy place to get to. It's all the way in the western part of Honduras, which means that it's far away from cities like San Pedro, La Ceiba, and Tegucigalpa. Yet at the same time, we're like minutes away from the Guatemalan border. We are so close. We are right on the Guatemalan border. But this is supposed to be one of the most beautiful and one of the most important ruins in all of Mesoamerica. It's a Mayan ruin, and I'm super excited to visit this place. This is apparently where they first discovered and understood the Mayan language. So we're gonna go ahead. We're currently leaving the town of Copán Ruinas, and we're heading over to the ruins, which are literally, from what I understand, just about a 20-30 minute walk away. So here we are on our way to the ruins. So this building right here is the visitor center. This is the main building you enter into once you enter the complex of the Copan Ruins. This is also where you buy the ticket. And now there is an interpretive room. I think it probably like describes the place. So we're gonna go check that out, learn a little bit first before we head over into the ruins. All right, well, we've officially walked past the visitor center and we are starting to enter the ruins. You can see it's all like a jungle. It's super green, super lush. This is where the ruins are. Now the ruins were built over like thousands of years ago. And I think it was like the early 300, 400 after the death of Christ. And the thing is, when we think of the Mayan Empire, it's not really just one big empire. It was rather a bunch of different kingdoms. So when we were in Palenque, that was the capital city of another kingdom. Here in Copan, it's the capital city of the Copan kingdom back in, thousands and thousands of years ago. So each of these things, yes, they are the Mayan civilization, but they weren't one united unit. In fact, they were fighting a lot of the times, killing each other's emperors. And this is also where, like I mentioned, the language was deciphered because it's so well preserved. They can actually see the carvings of the Mayan language here in Copan. So I'm excited to go ahead and see those ruins. I mean, we're currently at the entrance. You can see just tons and tons of jungles. And unlike in other places, for example, in Palenque, where the guides are a little bit pushy, they'll come up to you and be like, get a guide, and they'll keep, pushing you. Here it's chill. It's really, really nice, really, really tranquil. I love how cool this vibe is. We're gonna go ahead and head into the ruins. We have officially entered the archaeological site of Copan, and literally right at the entrance there's a turkey and he's just walking around, strutting around, enjoying his time. But there's supposed to be a lot. Oh, I think the turkey got a little bit mad. I think we're gonna keep going before the turkey starts charging at us. But this place has a lot of wildlife. There's a bunch of monkeys, a bunch of birds, so we're gonna watch out for that. Keep in mind the wildlife here is very, very well preserved. So as we're walking, time to keep an eye out on the trees above for any birds that fly ahead. Literally, just as I mentioned that we're gonna keep an eye out for some wildlife here in Copan, the family right behind just spotted some guacamayas, which are the macaws. That's the national bird of Honduras. But you can, and it just flew away. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. But yeah, the guacamaya, it's the national bird of Honduras. On the money, you'll see they have guacamayas. Anything in Honduras is related to guacamaya. They've got restaurants like Restaurant Guacamaya, Hotel Guacamaya. because it is the national bird of Honduras, and it's so colorful. Unfortunately, I can't show you very well. They're pretty far up on the tree. I mean, now they're gone, they flew away, but it's incredible. We just like 2 steps into the park and we've already seen the national bird of Honduras. That is a bucket list. I have to say, I am already loving the ruins of Copan. I mean, if you just look right behind me, you've got all these rocks that are some ruined, but they haven't really excavated it. And it's all covered in moss, this sort of greenish color. It honestly reminds me a lot of the old abandoned temples at Angkor Wat in Cambodia. And that's what I really loved about Cambodia, is that a lot of these temples are just there, unrestored, just the green moss covering everything. And this looks exactly like that. Oh, it's beautiful, it's incredible. All right, let's keep going into the ruins. Well, after you climb over this little hill, just a couple of steps, this whole beautiful complex of ruins just emerges, and it's insane. So this temple over there, that's the Temple of the Moon, and then this one over here is Temple of the Sun, and somehow the math of the stairs mixes up to like 365. Not sure how the math works, but that's what the temples are for. What really shocks me here is they have all the artwork just laid out, the sculptures, and the sculptures are incredible. Like, this is Angkor Wat level sculptures. They're so detailed. I mean, the stela over there, you can see the carvings are so intricate. And this is how they were able to decipher the Mayan language, because the artwork was so well preserved and it was all in the Mayan language, such that today the people who are deciphering the languages can look at it and at least see what it is, and then they can try and decipher it. Whereas in other places, it's not as well preserved, but you can see it's sort of like an Angkor Wat vibe. You have all these trees that just grow out of the ruins, and they've just sort of left it the way it is. You can see behind me there's a bunch of moss-covered rocks. I absolutely love how beautiful this temple is. It has like a very nice jungly vibe to it that, I mean, even Palenque was not as beautiful and not as preserved as the temple here. What's also really interesting about these pyramids is that they're actually hollow in the middle. Like, they have tunnels that are built in, so it's not just pure pyramid, that's it, just pure rock. No, there's space inside, and the entrance to the tunnel is actually right there at that little shelter. That's where you can enter, but obviously it's closed off because of the pandemic. But usually you can go in, see the tunnels, see the artwork and everything. It's incredible. And this right here, the Acropolis, is, you know, where they would have a lot of the beautiful artwork and the steles that they've displayed outside of the tunnel now. But when this place was originally discovered, they were inside the tunnel. So just around the corner of the main Sun Temple, I was super focused on the Sun Temple. I was walking around and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And then I looked to my right side, and then there's this. This is insane. This is the royal palace, the former royal palace of Copan. This is where the king would live. His servants would also live here. And originally, when they were sort of excavating the place, they found a lot of like dead bones and like people who were buried here, and they thought that this was a cemetery. But really, in Mayan tradition, most people after they die, they're just buried where they lived. So the servants who lived here to serve the king, they'd just be buried next to where they live, which is right here. So it may look like it was a cemetery, but in reality, this is where the servants lived to serve the king. And this is sort of the royal corridor, the royal courtyard. And it's impressive. And the view from above here, oh my gosh, this is so cool. A quick walk down on the staircase from where we were earlier brings us to the actual residences, and when you actually get here, oh my God, the sensation is completely different. First off, the carvings are amazing. You've just got random stones just laying around that are filled with amazingly well-preserved Mayan carvings, which just completely shocks me. As you get closer to the rocks, you see they're all covered in moss and that beautiful green color. You see trees and plants just growing out of them like this is Cambodia. Like these are the ruins of Angkor Wat in Cambodia. It really looks similar. And I love how beautiful this place is. I mean, out of all the ruins in Mesoamerica, in my opinion, this one might be the best. There's nobody here. I have the entire courtyard of the residences, the servants of the king, all to myself. And the place is stunning. The trees, the forest. Oh man, if you're in Honduras, this is you cannot miss this. You just cannot miss the ruins of Copan. I am in love with how beautiful and how well preserved all of these ruins are. Alright, well, climbing up from the main residences area, we get to this place right here, which is the East Court, and it's famous for all these carvings of the jaguars on the side. Now, here is also the entranceway into a lot of the tunnels that the archaeologists excavated to get a better understanding of what was under the ruins. And unfortunately right now, because of the pandemic, the tunnels are closed, but usually the tunnels would be open. But this place is just a massive, huge area, and it just completely blows away my mind. Once you get up here to the top of the courtyard, you get a pretty good idea of how big it actually is. It's massive. It is huge. And the thing is, recently they've been having a problem with flooding because just on the other side of that wall there's a river. And sometimes during really rainy season, it floods here, it floods on the river. So they've had to do a lot of work. You can see there's like white little sort of pipe things to help with the drainage and to prevent the entire area from just flooding over completely. They're putting in a lot of effort to make sure that this place is still preserved and it can still exist. And I mean, it's beautiful, and they're doing an amazing job with the restoration work. But man, I can only imagine the struggles that they're going through to make sure this place is preserved. Alright, right behind me is probably the most important thing in all of Copan. This is the hieroglyphic staircase. Now, the hieroglyphic staircase is impressive. It's the only one of its kind in all of Mesoamerica and the only one in the Mayan civilization. It's the biggest, and it's so impressive. It's made up of over 2,000 different glyphs, and it's so well preserved. But currently it's under this sort of shelter to protect it from the sun, because in the 30s and the 40s it started getting really bad with the erosion, so no one's allowed to go on top of it, and they protected it with this sort of shelter from the sun. But this is how they deciphered the Mayan language. Over the 2,000 types of glyphs here. It's 63 steps, but all these glyphs helped the archaeologists to sort of understand what the Mayan language was with repetition of certain glyphs. And on the bottom here at the cornerstone are glyphs that are dedicated to the kings here because they were also buried here. But this staircase, I mean, it's massive. It is so big. And of course, it's probably the most important thing here in Copan. It's why Copan is so famous, because it was able to break the code of the hieroglyphics and the Mayan language. And you can still see the hieroglyphics today. They're pretty well preserved. I mean, not every tile is perfect, but you can roughly see the shape, you can roughly see the details. I can only imagine if it was in its former glory and everything was perfectly the way it was designed to be, what it would look like. And right now, all the colors are gone, but usually when the Mayans were around, when they lived here, this was all super colorful. It was like bright red colors and blues, and it would be very beautiful. People will be sitting here on the benches, not really benches, but like steps of the staircase looking down into the city. It would have been lively. This is the center of Copan. Now it's just ruins with no more color, but you can only imagine what it would have looked like thousands of years ago. Well, we've officially left the park, and right at the entrance to greet us It's the guacamaya. It's the macaw, the national bird of Honduras. There were a lot more. There were like 5 of them standing here. Now some of them have flown off. This is a macaw sort of reservation area. They sort of brought them in because it's a nice place and they can protect them. They feed them and everything. That's why there's so many of them. But the best part is they're not kept in cages. They're free to fly around and roam in the trees. If they want to leave, they can leave. But most of them stay here because it's such a beautiful place. It's well preserved. They have food here. They're protected. It's a beautiful way to protect these birds because, you know, they're so colorful. They're so beautiful. And they should be protected. They are the national bird of Honduras. Hello. Hi. Hola. Okay, it just keeps moving, but it's not doing anything. Oh, but it's so beautiful and it's so colorful. And just like that, we are back in the hustle and bustle of the town of Copan Ruins. All right, a couple things to know about the ruins of Copan. First, they're amazing. If you're here in Honduras, you've got to visit that place. It's just incredible. The ruins, in my opinion, are some of the best ruins you're gonna find anywhere in the world. Now, do keep in mind, the town is called Copán Ruins. The ruins are also called Copán Ruins. So make sure when you're following the signs, just be aware that when it says Copán Ruins, check to make sure whether it's the town or the ruins themselves. I would suggest just getting a map because that will make things a lot easier, but just do keep that thing in mind as well because that can be pretty confusing. Now the ruins, like I said, 15 bucks. For what you're seeing on the inside, I thought it was completely worth it. It was really beautiful. Everything is so well preserved. I absolutely love it, and it's so easy to get to. It's like a 15-minute walk from the town center of Copan, so absolutely worth it if you are in the area. Obviously you can take a tuk-tuk, you can take a car over, but walking is the easiest option for me. You can choose whenever you want to and you can just get there. I would suggest doing it early in the morning if you're going to Copan because it gets pretty hot during the day. Like it's like 30 degrees Celsius. You won't be sweating, you will be hot, and you do not want to explore the ruins in this type of weather. So do it early in the morning. It opens at 8 a.m. Just be right there, get ready to enter. And the thing is, it really doesn't matter what time of day you go when it comes to tourists because not that many tourists actually come to Copan. But for the sake of the weather and so that you're not dying in Copan, do it in the early morning. Make sure to bring water. I did not bring water and I struggled. Now, the tour of Copan itself takes about, in my opinion, it takes about 4 to 5 hours. I took about 3.5 and I was going through things pretty quickly, but I saw a lot of tour guides taking their groups through, really taking their time. Easily could take you 4 to 5 hours. It's a half-day thing at the very least. If you wake up later at 9 a.m., 10 a.m. and get in, that's basically a whole day you can spend in the ruins of Copan. So I would highly recommend keeping that into account if you're going to the ruins of Copan. But here we are now back in the town of Copan Ruins. It's a beautiful little sort of charming colonial town. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you guys around. Now I've said this many times before, but whenever I come to a new town or a new city here in Latin America, the first thing that I always like to do is visit the market, and that's exactly what we're doing here in the ruins of Copan. This is the municipal market of Copán Ruinas. Well, this is my first time visiting a Honduran market, and I have to say, Mexico, super messy. Guatemala, really organized. Honduras, even more organized. It's like the organization of the markets just keeps better as you go south. Downstairs it's pretty simple. It's your meats, your vegetables, your spices. I'm surprised by the amount of spices and medicinal herbs they have. And a lot of the spices they have, they've got like bay leaves, peppers, all different types of chilies, a lot of things that you would expect from the Afro-Caribbean. They have it here in Honduras and here in Copan, which isn't actually on the Caribbean coast. Then the second floor, which is where we're at right now, which you can see is just a bunch of t-shirts, shoes, things that you basically can't eat. And that's all on the second floor. A lot of tourists like t-shirts and stuff, but the fact is there aren't that many tourists that actually come to Copan. So they're just sort of sitting there waiting to be sold. We don't know when they're going to be sold. But it's a really small market actually, just 2 floors, and then there's obviously just a row down there of food stalls that you can eat at. We're obviously going to try those out, so make sure you check out my food video here in Copan for that. But it's a nice calm market. It's a little windy, a little bit breezy. A lot of people are here just chilling. Like most of the people here, they're actually not buying anything. They're just here as sort of like a meeting point. So yeah, it's a nice cool social area in Copan. Couldn't ask for anything better to understand what life is like here. It's super chill, super calm, really, really safe. When you think of Honduras, you don't think of these things, but here in Copan Ruins, that's what it's like. Just a few blocks away from the main market is that building right behind me. That's the main church here in Copan Ruins. Let's go inside and check it out. Okay, so I've got to say that is probably one of the least impressive cathedrals I've ever seen. It's just one straight alleyway inside. It's not really that tall. They don't have chandeliers. It's pretty simple. It's really, really, really simple. So when it comes to churches, Honduras has kind of lost out a little bit, but it's still nice. We've got some locals inside just chilling, but nothing very special about the church, I would say. Well, I've been walking around the town of Copán Ruins for maybe over an hour now, and to be honest, other than the main church, the park, and the market, there's really not much to see here in Copán Ruins. The town is beautiful. You can see right behind me all this like old colonial architecture. You've got cobblestones and everything. It's a nice place to just walk around and enjoy. They've got a nice like restaurants, street stalls. It's really, really beautiful, like almost like a perfect town. But it's really small. And when it comes to Copán Ruins, that's gonna be it. I'm actually gonna end the video pretty early today. It's like 4 p.m. but there's nothing really much to do inside the town. Like I said, most people come here to see the ruins, and after you see the ruins, you probably are going to move on. The problem is, however, that Copan Ruins is kind of like out here in this borderland between Guatemala and Honduras. It's not too close to any city such that you can make it in like an hour or two. San Pedro Sula is about maybe 4 or 5 hours away. Guatemala City is also another 5 hours away. Tegucigalpa is even farther, it's like 7 hours, 8 hours away. So if you're gonna come to Copan Ruins, you're probably gonna spend a night here just because transportation wise, you can't come and visit the ruins and then go off to your next destination for the day. It's pretty hard. Like maybe you can do it for San Pedro, but you would get to San Pedro pretty late. And with the reputation that San Pedro Sula has, it's probably not a good idea to get there after sunset. So honestly, logistically speaking, it's better just to stay a night in Copan Ruins. It's a nice town, it's safe, it's a good place to at least stay for a night. So that's what I would probably do if I were to come to Copan again. But it's been an incredible day. For me, the ruins are absolutely worth it. Like, even though it's hard to get here, it's not the most convenient route. The ruins are absolutely incredible. Like there's no other way to describe it. I think you guys saw the shots. They're just beautiful. Copan is just stunning. So if you're here in Honduras, I would highly recommend a visit to Copan. Logistically speaking, it's challenging to get here, but 100% worth it. This is gonna be one of the last videos here from Honduras because tomorrow we're leaving Honduras. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this series here from Honduras. For me, after visiting the ruins today, having visited Gallos Cochinos, trying the food in Honduras, it's easily the favorite country I've ever been to. I can't believe I'm saying that about Honduras, which has a reputation. It has a reputation of being dangerous, of being a place that people don't usually go to, but it's because of that nobody comes to Honduras, and I like that. I like that there aren't any tourists here, but it's been absolutely incredible. Make sure to stay tuned, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye, guys.